was 9, okay? My voice was not mature.
Oh, this is beautiful.
They're trying to draw a story out of me. I almost made it on The Voice Australia 2023. And here's that story.
Solo tú.
I'm outside the New South Wales State Library. It is such a beautiful building and I'm waiting to have lunch with my bestie. It was Iz's birthday a couple of weeks ago. If you know who Iz is, you've probably seen her on my channel. She watches my videos, so comment down below a big happy birthday to her. I've got like a gift for her, but I thought I would share the first part of the story while I wait. When I was like 6 years old, our family had a tradition, and that tradition was that on either Saturday or Sunday night, I can't remember which one it was, we would watch Australia's Got Talent, and I always wanted to be a part of it and to audition myself. However, thankfully my mom saved me from embarrassment because I was 9, okay? My voice was not mature and neither was my tone. So my mom and I made a deal that I was only able to audition once I won a local Stedford or talent show. And so I went through doing lots of the Stedfords and talent shows, and I kind of forgot about it after a while. That is until 2013. The Voice Kids came out for the first time in Australia. We never had it before, and I decided to audition. And yes, I qualified on my mom's terms, not because I won a whole local Stedford or talent show, but because I tied 3rd with this chick from the area who like was the girl who was like known in the area as being like the most successful singer. Also, I was up against dancers as well and people doing monologues, so I actually tied 3rd overall, but I actually tied 1st in the singing criteria.
I just received my beautiful present from my dear friend Amity. She shouldn't have done this, but she always spoils me every birthday. And I don't know, but I'm thinking it might be something homemade. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, Amity!
Lunch with Isabella went good. Now let's finish the story on the ferries because I am dying for a ferry ride. I'm using my bag as a windshield, but I thought that I would come on here and explain to you guys the next part of the story. But first, you have to see the bridge. It looks stunning today. So I didn't actually make it onto The Voice that time, or The Voice Kids rather. I didn't hear back, and that might have also been due to the fact that I ticked the box that said I wouldn't be able to travel for it, because we didn't have any money to travel at that point in time. So unfortunately, that was a miss. It wasn't until many years later I'd finished school and I totally forgot about it all. Until it's 2022. Let me set the scene. I'm having a midlife or quarter life crisis, whatever you call it, when you're my age with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I thought to myself, what the heck am I gonna do for the rest of my life? Wait, another pause guys, you have to see the city because it looks really good. Basically all I had to do was go onto Google and type in The Voice Auditions 2023 and it came up, and I did a video of one of my original songs and I applied for it. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to hear back at all. A couple months went by and nothing, so I thought, yeah, whatever. Okay, I am back. It is the next day. I had a wonderful day out yesterday in the city and it's time to finish up the story. So where were we? Oh, that's right. We were talking about when I applied. I kind of forgot about it, and a couple of months went by and I got an email, which I then read and screamed, and my mum knew exactly what was going on. She came in, she's like, did it work out? I'm like, yeah, I've made it through to the next round. I couldn't believe it. I was not expecting to hear back. Let me explain a little bit to set the scene on these types of shows. They make it look like you show up on the day and you audition and it goes on TV. That's not the case. That is not how it works. You actually have to go through multiple different auditions to get to the actual blind auditions. You don't just show up on their day. That's not how it works. So I was excited. However, this was in 2022 for the 2023 season. But because it was 2022, we were still coming out of Rona. And because I didn't live in Sydney, I lived in regional Australia, they wanted everyone who lived outside of Sydney to audition on Zoom. Everyone who lived in Sydney would travel to the auditions. Everyone who lived outside would do it in their home. So I got this big email explaining all the different functions I needed to set up on my Zoom account to make this sound the best it could. I got information saying you can't tell anyone that you're involved in the process, because if you do, it could jeopardize your involvement. In that email, it also stated what the next round was going to look like. By the way, I got to the top 200 in the end, which was out of like tens of thousands of people that applied, because it's not that hard to apply. You can literally just go online, type it up and apply. I somehow got to the top 200. Which is insane. But let me just disclose one important part of the picture. I have a feeding tube. At the moment, it's a surgical one. But back when this was happening, it was a nasal jejunal. It was taped to my face. If I have a photo, I'll pop it up there. This tube was very visible. In my application, I did mention I had a tube. You could visibly see it in my audition videos. I do think that part of the reason I got to the top 200 was because of the tube, because if you know anything about these types of shows, they love a good story, which I will get into a bit more when I explain the audition process. The day before the audition comes around and I vomited out my NJ. It happened every 2 to 3 weeks, and to get it placed, I had to go into my local hospital to get it placed. They do it while you're fully awake. They just like thread it down. The day before the audition rolls around, I vomited up my tube. I go into hospital to get it, just an emergency, to get it placed. The guy that placed it scraped all down the back of my throat, and I think he had to do it a couple of times because he couldn't get it right. My voice had a bit of damage from that, like not severe. My voice wasn't in the best quality it could have been for the next couple of days. Mind you, the audition was the next day. So I turned up to the audition. When I mean turned up, I mean in my bedroom. I opened up the Zoom because it was a Zoom thing. I waited in the Zoom waiting room, and the day is kind of just like going in and out of Zoom waiting rooms. Like you go in one Zoom waiting room and then you go and talk to the story producers, and then you go into another waiting room and then you talk to the music producers. Comes turn for me to be put into a room with the producers, and because my voice wasn't in the best condition it could be, it wasn't bad, it just, when you're up against the best of the best, you want it to be in the best condition that it can be. So any little bit of not being in the best condition, number one, it's going to also mentally get into your head that like, oh my gosh, it's not in the right like condition. So then you're going to be very nervous, which can cause you to stuff up and la-di-da-di-da-da-da. First off, before I start singing, they are trying to ask questions. They're trying to draw a story out of me, which I knew this was going to happen. I am very aware of these types of situations and shows where they were asking a lot about my medical condition. They were asking about the tube. They were asking about the difficulties of singing with the tube. I explained what my condition is, why I had the tube. Basically, they really focused in on the fact that I had an NJ. They really wanted to just like focus in on that part of the story. And it came time to sing. The song that I had placed to sing was an original song that I wrote, which you may or may not be hearing in the next couple of years. It may not, or may be releasing next year. Maybe. But I was going to sing that song. I don't remember if I did. I think I like sung a little bit and then like, wait, we don't know this song. How about you do another song that you know? They ask you in the process of writing things to write like 20 songs. that you know how to sing. I didn't know lyrics to most of these 20 songs. I tried to pick songs that I know my voice is good at. I just haven't practiced. My thought was these 20 songs were going to be used throughout the show because they had a separate question, which song are you going to be using for audition? So I wrote in Cry, and then they had like a second backup song, which I put in a For King Country song. Because if you guys know me, I love For King Country. They're like my favorite band. I went and saw them live in May, which was the best thing ever. All that aside, I had a For King Country song which they hadn't heard of before. Like, hey, we don't know that one. How about one from your list? I was like, oh, I could do Perfect by Ed Sheeran, because that one I used to busk a lot and I would sing that song a lot. However, Ed Sheeran is a male. The song Perfect is written from a male perspective. I am a female. When I sing it, I try and change some of the words to fit a female perspective. So that's what I did, but because I had it in my head that I'm going to stuff up because my voice isn't the best, I got the words wrong. I totally mucked up the song. It didn't sound bad, it was just the words were completely wrong, and they could see on my face, it was like, oop, that wasn't the right word. So they were like, oh yeah, thanks, we'll get back to you. A couple of weeks went by, I think it was a month actually that went by, and I got the email that said, you did really well to make it to the top 200, but unfortunately you will not be progressing forward anymore. I was kind of expecting that. I didn't really care that much. It was kind of just like a really cool experience just to audition for the producers. That's kind of all I have to say. I do want to actually let you guys know that next week's video or next fortnight's video is going to be so exciting. I am flying to Surfers Paradise and I am going up there to like do a workshop thing with, speaking of The Voice, the winner of the actual Voice season that I was going to be a part of. So that is really exciting. There's also going to be other people there. It's going to be Bridie Drake. I don't know if you guys know Bridie Drake. She's an awesome Australian business boss lady who also genuinely, I've heard, I haven't met her in person, but I've heard that she's genuinely just such a beautiful soul. Things are happening and it is dang exciting, and I'm going to be taking you guys along with me. That being said, I'm going to go now and I'm going to get to work on my small biz because, you know, when singing doesn't pay the bills, you gotta do other stuff. You gotta improvise, you know. Alright, love you guys. Bye.